What's up, guys? Today we're talking about something really important. I have with me my blue belt, my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt. I'm into striking, right? I'm into wrestling, I'm into judo, but something I've really been passionate about is Jiu-Jitsu. So I'm talking to you guys today about how I got this guy in about a year and a half, maybe a little shorter than a year and a half. With this video, we're also gonna be talking about like my lessons I've learned during my first year and a half doing Jiu-Jitsu. The first thing I learned is, man, we love to combat. Like, combat is in our blood. There's like a warrior spirit in everyone. There's like something, there's a thumos in us. There's like an inner energy that we channel, that we only discover when we're in competition, when we're in the fire. I learned that about myself in Jiu-Jitsu. I have a ferociousness that I let live. And sometimes we're going through society, and civil society doesn't allow us to really exercise our strength. We've created a gym, or just like an artificial room. We create these weights that we can pick up and down to kind of tap into that kind of primal side. But when you go train martial arts, you train Jiu-Jitsu specifically, you get to really channel your inner lion, your warrior spirit. So, man, I got to discover my warrior spirit, and I recommend everyone out there at home discover your own warrior spirit, because if life is a journey about discovering yourself, there's things to you that you've never known. When have you been able to really fight someone, get your hands on someone, and really roar and just feel that inner drive? And that's what Jiu-Jitsu offers. But let's get to these lessons. First thing is, you have to have a white belt mentality to life. If you don't know at home, white belt is someone that starts martial arts, and it's like the beginner belt. So white belt is learning all the techniques. It's the person that's usually getting dominated or beat up in the dojo. And everyone hates to be a white belt. Everyone hates to be a beginner. People hate to take on new hobbies because why? They're scared of being a beginner. They're scared to be embarrassed. They're scared to not know. They're scared to ask questions. They're scared to be at the bottom of the totem pole. And you see that Jiu-Jitsu teaches us that our egos are built on these different things. Let's say you're the big CEO of a company and everyone takes orders from you. You're not going to join Jiu-Jitsu because you're not willing to let a 16-year-old kid dominate you. But on the other side of life, the best blessings lie after being a white belt, after being the lowest on the totem pole. You gain a sense of humility, you gain a respect for the art, but you also gain an understanding of yourself. You die to your ego. It's that concept of being broken down to be built up. I know they do it in the military. It's like rising from the ashes. And Jiu-Jitsu teaches you that. When you have a white belt mentality to life, you're always eager to learn. You always understand how much you don't know. Sometimes as adults, our brains get stiff. We pick something that we're good at and we master it, and we stop letting the creativity flow because we've done it this one way for so long. So that white belt mentality makes it so that you can learn from a kid. You can learn from someone that's not even in your field. Second thing is, you're never the biggest fish. That's the second lesson I learned. So we all have these little ponds, and our environments are our ponds, right? Where we are the head honcho, the top dog, the big G, right? Guys and girls, you know? Let's say you're the prettiest girl at your school, or you're the prettiest girl in your friend group. Or the guys, you're the strongest guy at your gym. You're scared to go to a new gym where there's bigger bodybuilders, or you're the smartest person in your class. You're scared to go out there. You're the best fighter in your gym. You're scared to go compete. You're scared to test yourself because you're scared of understanding and realizing what you know inside, that you're never the biggest fish. So whenever you're in somewhere where you're not the best, you grow more. That's why they say that, like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You always have to find a place where you're at least the bottom of the totem pole or in the middle. That way you can always learn from others, and that's how you improve your skill set. I know it hurts for the ego, but the things that usually hurt for the ego usually build us up. So that's something I learned in Jiu-Jitsu. You're never the biggest fish, and that keeps you humble, because if you want to go and dominate a new guy in his first day, just know that there's someone out there that could dominate you. Someone that could make you feel how you made a guy feel. The Japanese samurai used to have this saying. We have this at Street Ready. It's you go like this, and then you go like that. And basically what that means is, like, after you use your weapon, you sheath it, you put it away. And you have to know how to use your weapon. A warrior has to be a warrior, but you also have to have the gentleness of a dove, because you're not just using your sword. Your weapon's everywhere. You're using it in places that are appropriate, right? Third lesson I learned is just one question I had for myself one day after I lost a competition. It was like, how would you beat yourself? So you across the room, let's think about you. Think about all your characteristics. Think about your strengths and your weaknesses. What would you do to beat yourself? If you had to fight yourself tomorrow, or if you had to compete against yourself in any domain in life, what would you do to beat yourself? What makes you insecure? What are you scared of? What are you running from? What could someone expose about you? What would you do to beat yourself? Whatever answer you got within, those are your weaknesses. You can't go through life having this insecurity. Let's say you know that you can't fight. Learn how to fight. If you're someone that's scared to speak out or scared to stand up for yourself, put yourself in a situation where you'll get the opportunity to exercise that, because all these things are muscles. Like confidence is a muscle you exercise. Courage is a muscle you exercise. Kids aren't born courageous. It's built. If you don't have it today, that's okay. But understand, how would you beat yourself? Take a pen and a paper, write down a list, and look at the things that you can work on today. And that doesn't mean you have to go out there and embarrass yourself and be a jackrabbit. No. But understand your own weaknesses. Understand how they can be exploited. I learned I had a competition. I fought this guy. He's an MMA fighter. He was my size, my height, my athleticism. And I lost to him. He was like the spitting image of me. He was my mirror. But I couldn't beat him. So I realized that my skill has to improve. That made me come up with that question. How would you beat yourself? The other thing I learned is that our body has a natural intelligence. If you've ever played basketball or track or rugby, or if you ever wrestled with your brother or your sister, you understand that somehow your body understands physics. And if you allow yourself to go into flow state when you do martial arts, when you speak to people, your body has a natural intelligence. It naturally understands how to fight. So our instincts to fight are kind of counterintuitive. Like if we're in a fight, we want to turn our face and kind of swell our arms like this. Whereas when you're fighting, you're supposed to have a guard. You're supposed to protect yourself. Like parry punches, protect yourself. So our instincts to fight is kind of counterintuitive. But when you do learn how to fight, you see that your body understands physics. Your body understands distance. Your body understands movement, angles. I used to skateboard in college, right? Because we didn't have a whip. Man, I understand how to skate down hills, how to turn, how to be aerodynamic, just how a plane is. And you have to allow your body to use its natural intelligence. You can't always be in your head about everything. You can't always overthink everything. You can't always try to logically figure everything out. You have to allow your natural intelligence to flourish. That's what I learned from my first year and a half doing jiu-jitsu. But now I'm going to tell you about how I got my blue belt in a year and a half. The easiest thing you can do to get your blue belt is to stop learning techniques. I know it sounds so crazy, but you have to learn concepts. Jiu-jitsu is built on concepts. I had my instructor teach me this concepts of 4 corners. If you want to control the human body, you have to control 1, 2, the shoulders and the hips. Those are the 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. The hips are the center of mass. That's where all the mass is distributed. And the shoulders, it's where the hands go. So if you can't control the shoulders, you can't move the hands. If you have someone's back, if you have a seatbelt position, you're controlling the 4 corners, right? If you're in a mount, you're controlling 4 corners. If you're in side control, you're getting an underhook, you're getting a crossface, you're controlling both corners. If you want to take someone down, you have to get to their center of mass and move it. So you have to get to the hip. So a single leg, a double leg, an arm drag, judo throw, you get to the center of mass and you move it. So when you understand concepts, right, jiu-jitsu makes sense because you're no longer thinking about all these different moves. You're thinking about concepts. I have to get to the hip and move the center of mass, and the person will fall on the floor. I have to control all 4 corners, and that's how I'm going to control someone on the ground. Learn the concepts of control. If you learn the concepts of control, you also understand the concepts of escaping. So if someone can control you, if you know that they need 4 corners to control you, you also know that you have to remove and break 3 of the corners to escape, right? You have to learn the concept of submissions, triangle submissions, head and arm submissions, how to shorten that area. So if you have someone's head and the arm in here, how to shrink this space to choke them out. That works for guillotines, but that works for arm and shoulder chokes. That works for triangles. Once I learned those concepts, I got my blue belt a few months after because I was ready to graduate. Maybe your coach will teach you, maybe he won't, but when you watch moves, try to get to the fundamentals behind the move. If you can learn the concepts and you can apply the concepts, I promise you jiu-jitsu gets fun because you're no longer getting smashed and you're no longer thinking about things or memorizing things. You're allowing your body's intelligence because you're giving it certain parameters to operate through. Guys, you can do anything you put your mind to. You get to train your psychology to see that. So that's kind of the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something helpful. You guys stay tuned to my channel. We're going to be talking about all things life, things that I find interesting. So I hope you at home find interesting. But yeah, that's it. Yvonne out. Boom.